Ni Tek na Msangi ya jishinde.com.
Good Monday morning and welcome to video 1 of the journal series, and we will take a brief look at the journals because in Dynamics 365 Business Central, most financial transactions are posted to the general ledger through dedicated business documents such as purchase invoices and sales orders. However, you can also process business activities such as purchasing, paying or refunding employee expenses by posting journal lines in various journals in Business Central. Most journals are based on the general journal, and you can process all transactions on the general journal page by inserting general journal lines. We have different types of journal pages. We have the cash receipt journal, payment journal, fixed asset journal, recurring journals, item journals, job journals, and many other journals. In the process of posting journals using AL, you need to first understand how to process journals in the application side. This is the first step. Remember, we say that we will debit and credit in the first video, and debiting is an increase, that is a positive value, and crediting is a decrease. So I have logged in as the accountant, I think the business manager, and when you are in this role center, you can be able to access general journals. Lest, if you are not there, you can just search general journals, and from the tell me what you want feature, and you can be able to get the general journals. This is the common journal that is used, and ideally, while posting transactions is in Business Central, you make use of the business documents. Journals are only used in cases where maybe the business document is not fitting the functionality that you really want. You can do payments to customers using the business documents, using journals at times, but also you can use journals to reverse, mostly used to reverse. So if I go to finance and then general journals, I'll be able to see a list of templates. So the templates, you can define your own custom templates. By the default is general. So for each template, there's a batch that is known as the default batch. So when you're defining the template, you usually specify what type of journal page it will open. Let me go to general templates. General journal templates. You can define the different type of journals that are there on the general journal templates. When I open the journal templates, you can see we have different templates here that are used to identify now the type of journal that we have. Say we have a fixed asset journal, we have a general journal, we have an jobs journal, we have a general, another one a sales. So you can define your own template and say the type of journal that it is. So whichever type that you specify, it will help you to determine the window that will open. It will help you to determine the page that will open. If you have selected a payment journal, so the page that will open will be a payment journal. When you open, the template will be displayed under a payment journal, which is mostly used for payments, and others are cash receipt and general etc. Cash receipt journal. So, but today we are focused on the general journal. Here on the general journal, and we are selecting the template, which will be now either of these, but I'm going to go with the general template. And then once I click on the template on, it will give me the different batches that are existing under that template. We have the cash batch, we have the default batch, the Jishinde, and then Msangi batch. So ideally, most users should be using the batch that is named after them to avoid conflicts with other users who are still using the template, so that they cannot modify their journals that they have created. Because once a user is using the journal, the other user can be able to probably modify at times the same template at different times, and if the entry hasn't been posted, you will have affected the other user's activity, because this is just like a buffer for posting. Once posted, everything is cleared from the template. And when you look at this badge, it has got a series here for an entry here for a number series, so the document number will be automatically populated. And as well, we have other setups here. We can even have a posting number series for the document number used for postings. But for now, I will remove this number series so that we can specify our own custom document number in our badge. So this badge will go without a number series, and I will click here again and edit the journal. When you edit the journal, you are having now the general journal lines that you can edit. Okay, so the batch name will be displayed here. You can change it even after you have selected edit journal. You can select whichever batch you want, but for now we are using Msangi's batch. And here under number series, so what we want to do today, we want to simulate what we'll do in code. But the first thing is we need to post the entries manually. So I'll call it a tutorial as the document number for us to help to identify it easily. We say that we will first credit the customer and then we'll debit the customer. Those are the instructions that were given by the user in the first video. So I will select, let me select this 20,000 number, which is easier to identify, Selangorian Limited, and then so we say annual payment for 2022. So once we select the annual payment, it means we have we are paying this customer a certain payment. You can see the dimensions that they have here. Area, the dimension value is 30 and all that. So I believe they have populated automatically. Annual payment 2022 is the description to enable us easily know what we are trying to do here. So, and again, if we would like to have a different, what do I want to call it? A different payment for the, if we'd like to have a different area code or dimension, this is the dimension, department, project code, or area code for this, for the GL expense account, we need to specify it under this other journal line. So, but we'll do exactly that. We may do exactly that, but for now, let's just credit the customer with 5,000 Kenya shillings. Okay, the amount here is in USD, but we are using the local currency, so it's Kenya shillings, and then we will now debit the GL. When you put it under the balance account type, it will automatically debit this particular GL account. So let me click on this drop down and search for expense. So we can probably say that this is okay, let me call it extraordinary expenses. That doesn't make sense, but let's leave it as that. Or a provision account. Do we have a provision? Let me look at a provision account that is a balance sheet. Okay, we may not be having provision. Okay, let's go with the expenses. And we call it the extraordinary expenses. So we have credited the customer. Remember, whatever is in the account number is what determines what this amount means. So as long as your account number, if we change this to a positive, like 5,000, it means we are debiting the customer and crediting this expense GL. But now we want to credit the customer and debit the expense GL. Credit the customer and debit this particular GL account for the expenses. We mean that we have an increase in the expenses. And then the next thing is we have to probably use the same document number for this because we have said we force the balancing with the document number. Now we want to charge the customer the fees for this particular transaction. So the customer will need to pay taxes, and as well they'll need to pay let me call it what? Let me say annual payment fees. They'll need to pay taxes, and as well they'll need to pay so taxes will be, let me go to this, the charge for processing. So taxes will be 0.16, that is 16%, and the charge for processing is 0.05. So I'll just do a small calculation here. Okay, I hope this one, let me start with this. So that is 8,000, and then now we need to add another one that will be the expense of I don't know if a bracket works. 5,000 times 0.05 should be a plus here. That is 5% of charges. Oh, that works. So the total charge will be 1050. So the first one is the tax. We now need another entry here to distribute this charge for this particular customer. Hope this one will work. And then the tax paid. Then in the tax, we'll probably say that the tax amount, okay, it should not be a customer. Sorry for that. It should be a GL account here for tax. It should be a GL account for tax payment. Everything has cleared. For tax payment, sales tax payable. So this one will now call it tax payment. The description is automatically populated by the account name, but for now we need this tax payment, and that is a minus 800 in our crediting. Remember, now the only balance we have is 250. That is 5% of now the 5,000, which will be now the processing fees for this particular transaction. We need maybe to send someone to the bank or other processing fees. Let me say bank processing fees for this particular customer, and so we'll call it processing fees or other fees and charges, okay, whichever. So this is the fees that we are charging the customer. And when you look at such an entry, as I was speaking about, you may find yourself in a situation where you are getting a request and a customer wants you to do this in a L code because they want to do it for all customers. And if you can see, it's a bit tedious to key in these entries one by one and try to finish them. It takes a lot of time to try and do everything one by one, and they might need you to create a process to replicate these for the customers, and it makes it easier for them to process. And ideally, when it's easier for them to process, they'll get things done faster. And so when you get such a request, the first thing to do is to make sure that you understand on this general line what you're supposed to do. Like for me, I'm trying as much as possible to make sure that the entry is posting successfully on the general line before I can go to the code, and that is the first step. So after you have done that, we need to preview the posting so that we can see if there's an error. But I can see there's a total balance here of 250. I don't know if there's an error. Let's see if there's an error. There's no error. If there could be an error when you preview, you will see something here that will show you there is an error, and it is simulating what will happen once the posting has been done successfully. It means once we have done a successful posting, we'll have a GL entry with 5 entries, we'll have a customer ledger entry with 2 entries, a detailed customer ledger entry with 4. Okay, it's supposed to be 2 as well. GL entries will have these 5 entries. We will definitely have the entry from the sub ledger. This is the customer, and we have another entry here from the sub ledger as well, and here from the sub ledger, and then okay, this one is crediting. This is from the main ledger, and this is from the customer. Let me get them right, just rushing here. Why are we having 4 in the detail and here 2? Supposed to have a matching number. Okay, annual payment fees, these are the credit and the debit from the customer. Okay, I think it's okay. We have a debit and a credit from the customer, and again we now have from the detailed customer ledger entry, we credit the particular customer and then we debit the customer again, and then this is now the debit and credit again. This is what I'm not comfortable with. Let me look at the document number. Okay, not expected. Let me see if there's an error somewhere. Okay, total balance is 0, so I think it's okay. But I'd expect to have a detailed customer ledger entry that is with an equal value to the customer ledger entry. But nonetheless, don't worry. There's no error in our postings because we have the first entry balanced automatically because there was it's a one-line journal. The second entry, we only had the customer, and the third entry and fourth, we only have the GL account. The customer is appearing twice, so we need to have 2 entries for the customer. So the detailed customer ledger entry, and we'll see once we post. So remember now the document number is tutorial. So we'll just copy this. So once we post, we'll just make sure that we have this tutorial and be able to preview what we have posted again. So I'll post this transaction, post the journal. We're at 88. The journal has been posted successfully. So when you get there, you know, like, oh wow, I have understood what I'm doing, and this is the kind of document that I will replicate in code. So when you go to navigate, we'll be able to see exactly that, whatever we have posted. So navigate and then find entries, click on find entries. We paste the document number here that we have just copied, and then we click on find to see whichever entries and how the entries have been posted. So when I click on find, we see that we have exactly what happened on the other side. So we have the GL entry with 5 entries, customer ledger entry with 2, and detail with 4. This is what I don't understand for now, but I believe, I don't know why it has 4 entries. Let me just start step by step with the GL entry. So we have this GL that we had specified with it has got its own debit for the annual payment because you have increased the expense, and then the charges. Okay, I need to make it more user friendly. The charges here are okay, so we have the annual payment with 5,000, that's the debit, and then we have now the fees, that was 250. Then the tax, we paid 800 for the tax from the customer, but now this is the total charge that we debited from the customer. This went through the receivables posting of the customer. We call it the receivable account of the customer. It's supposed to be it is linked by the posting group, and it should be this one. Let me just go back. The one with 1050 and 5,000. This is the receivables account. If we look at this account, we didn't specify this while posting. You see the customers domestic. This is the receivables account that we posted through the subledger. These 2 entries were posted through the subledger, and these 2 entries were posted directly to the GL, and this one was posted directly to the GL. This one was posted to the customer, but it reflected on the GL through the subledger, because once you post to the subledger or the customer ledger, it always reflects to the general ledger account. So that is it. Let's go to these other entries, and I want to see why this other one is confusing me, but we'll be able to get it right away. The customer ledger entry has got 2 entries. When I drill down, we clearly have one, the annual payment fees and the annual payment, That is the 1050 and the 5000. That is what we did as an entry. Okay. Let me go to the detailed customer ledger entry. In the detailed customer ledger entry, we have how many entries? We have 4 entries. One, it's a 5000 and 1050, 5000. So why do I have two 1050s? 5000 and 1050. Let me look at the customer number. Same customer number, okay. 5000, 1050. 1050, 1050. Okay, the net effect is still 1050 because this one has gone in and come out. I'm trying to look at the entry that has caused that particular entry posting. Where is it? My focus session is telling me to stop the video. I think I'll consult my functional consultant for this. But I believe there's nothing wrong because there's a counter entry here. This has gone in and come out. So the net effect of this is 0. So ideally we still have the 5000 and the 1050 that we did on the other side. How this one came about, I'm not really sure for now, but I'll consult my functional consultants for now. But that's how you post. But make sure you are able to start with this step where you can be able to do the posting. At least you understand that this is a debit or this is a credit, because that is the first step that will make it easier for you to post a journal now using the AL code. Remember, in the next step, we are creating a processing all nil report where we will now replicate whatever we have done here using AL code. But again, if you haven't been able to do the posting, try and research. I'll post a link to journals for Microsoft Learn how to work with journals. I believe this should be the one. Yes, working with general journals. Go through it. If you haven't, if you don't, you're not conversant with this. But if you are conversant with posting, then you can freely go to the next episode. So thank you for watching this video, and for that, may God bless you. I will see you in the next video.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss the next one.